Hi guys, this is Daryl and welcome back to Book Odyssey. Today I'm going to be reviewing a memory called Empire by Arkady Martine. So with this review I'm going to be doing the bulk in my usual way, which is to generally discuss my thoughts but without going too heavily into spoiler land. However, I really want to talk about the ending, so I will be hitting on this. Don't worry though, I will give plenty of warnings so you can skip ahead if you need to. So let's get right into it. A Memory Called Empire is a science fiction novel built around political intrigue and is the first novel in the Text-Kalan duology. It won the Hugo Award for Best Novel in 2020. The novel is set in the very distant future. Humanity has spread throughout the stars and is able to travel from system to system by a network of Stargate-style jump gates. It follows protagonist Mahit Zma as she travels to the dominion of the Text-Kalani Empire's interstellar capital, eager to take up her new post as the ambassador for the small but independent mining station, Cell Station, that she and her people call home. When she arrives, however, she discovers her predecessor has died in what she quickly suspects to be murder. With the help of her Text-Kalani government-appointed aide, 3 Seagrass, she must navigate the capital's halls of power to discover the dangerous truth, while at the same time attempting to prevent the Empire from annexing her home station. As she sinks deeper into the alien culture, Mahit engages in political intrigues of her own, using a technological secret she possesses that she hopes could save them from becoming part of the expanding empire. There are a number of interesting concepts in the book. The most important is a piece of technology called an Imago machine, which any Star Trek fan will recognise as being suspiciously similar to the symbionts in the Trill culture, only mechanical. So basically the Imago machine is an altered carbon style cortical implant that allows the memory of a person, usually dead, to be absorbed into the consciousness of the host, allowing said host to access that person's lifetime of knowledge and memories. The protagonist, Mahit, is such a host and moseys off to the Text-Kalani capital with the previous ambassador's memories lodged into her head. I'll go more into this in the spoiler part of the video, but I'll say just for now that it's a really interesting concept. Despite its uncanny similarity to the Trill symbionts, it got me excited about what I was about to read. Unfortunately, I don't think it was utilised to its full capacity, which I'll touch on later. There are other compelling concepts that make up what is essentially a solid and imaginative world building that occurs throughout A Memory Called Empire. We have a city AI, which is a self-controlled and self-regulating city, a police force which operates within a hive mind, and we have the jump gates, which allow for faster than light travel through space. The concepts and world building are brought to life using the complex social rules and cultural stigmas that Mahit must navigate, a detailed emphasis on the use of language in the narrative and how it shapes a culture, as well as interesting societal taboos and an almost obsessive reverence for poetry, which really made the Text-Kalani culture stand out as being something unique to a lot of what I've read before. It's worth mentioning that I did get some heavy Ursula Le Guin vibes, which was not a bad thing. Add to this the political structures that dominate over the Text-Kalani culture, and you get a real sense of a place that is steeped in the ritual of its past and the rigidity of order that brings. It's the world building that shines above all else in A Memory Called Empire. Above the characters, which I'll touch on in a bit, and above the themes, which for me never really move beyond the cliché I hoped they wouldn't be. If you haven't already guessed, among the themes is a comment on expansionism and imperialism, with Mahit, our protagonist, working to stop the annexation of her home station. But she never goes into why this would be bad or what the consequences of that would be. I get why someone might not want their home annexed by an expanding empire, but we never get a taste of life on the station to make us really care about the annexation one way or another, and the stakes are never really set down about what it would mean for the station. I did appreciate the inner conflict that we see in Mahit, however, because on the one hand she has an almost fangirl-esque admiration for the Text-Kalani Empire, while on the other she doesn't want her home occupied. This is unfortunately the most interesting thing I can say about Mahit. Overall, character development was thin. I got a sense of who Mahit was, which was great, The problem is, I didn't find her very stimulating. Throughout the book, I got the feeling that Martine fell into a bit of a trap with this character, and with most of the primary characters, to be honest, and that was, in trying to make her characters likeable, she made them boring. I don't know about you, but I would much rather read about an interesting character over a likeable character, especially in a setting such as this, where you expect a certain level of underhandedness for political gain. But everyone was nice. Too nice. To the degree that I was convinced a number of characters were actually working their own underhanded plots, which would come out in glorious twists. But no twist, just nice. Because of this and a number of other reasons, I wasn't convinced about the friendship between Mahit and her appointed aide, Threed Seagrass. To me, this came across as forced and, to be honest, a little flat. I get what Martine wanted to do, and I really like that. To build a friendship between two characters that bridge the divide of their cultures, and so on. The problem is, they seem to become friends right from the word go, with no real event or incident or conflict inciting this bond between them. In the characters' interactions, generally, I wanted more grit, more conflict and more drama, but everyone was just really nice to each other, and Threed Seagrass, who was supposed to work for the Tex Kalani government, just seemed to go along, helping Mahit, even if it was to the detriment of her own government, and we never explore why this is. There was no real reason for Seagrass to act against what we knew was her motivation, essentially to ascend the political ranks, so this detracted from the story for me because I did not buy it. There are some good characters that I wanted to see more of, such as 19 Ades, who was portrayed as a Machiavellian courtesan who I immediately wanted to know more about. But this character was for me underutilised and ended up going in a direction I wasn't quite happy with, which I'll explain in the spoiler part. Overall, the writing was good, in terms of language and structure. It was evocative and well put together. There were a few pacing issues in the book, starting around halfway through, where I just wanted stuff to get going or move forward quicker, but instead I felt like parts were weighed down with scenes that I really think could have been cut. So I ended up getting a bit impatient with the style, regardless of how well the sentences themselves were constructed. While I didn't much mind the time Martine spent on building a sense of culture through the detailed parts concerning the Tex Kalani language, Mahit's fascination with words and poetry did slow the pace down even more, and I feel the effort Martine put into this would have been better served in character development, rather than going to such detail about one aspect of the Tex Kalani culture. I also took a bit of an issue with the many Tex Kalani names throughout, because they were so unpronounceable. It slowed down my reading, and therefore the book even further. I had to go to the back of the book a number of times, where there's a handy word translation list to remind myself of what words meant what, which slowed stuff down even more. So in the end, I just let my eyes glance over the words and used the context to sort it out. Despite my issues with the book, for the main part, the story successfully pulled me through in an entertaining way, until the ending, which I felt let down the whole book, which I'll get into now. If you haven't read the book yet, you might want to skip ahead to the time at the bottom of the screen now to avoid major spoilers and to see how many stars I gave the book. If you have read the book and want to know my thoughts on the ending and a few more specifics, then stick around. On the Imago machines, I had a few niggles that to me were kind of plot holey. I appreciate Martine took the time to try and paste over these holes, but I just didn't buy it. Firstly, while I really liked the concept of the technology, it didn't make any sense to me that the Tex Kalani Empire would A, consider this type of neural tech an abomination, and B, that the Cell Station people would keep this technology a secret. Why keep it a secret? It made no sense. The abomination part felt like an afterthought, as a way of trying to direct the story in a way that Martine wanted it to go, but when you look at the sunlit police, who are essentially a hive mind, isn't that the same thing? Merging your mind with another? It was a contradiction that was another thing that stopped me from fully buying into the story. I also didn't much like the fact that Mahit's Imago machine didn't work until later. At the beginning, I enjoyed the setup and I thought Mahit was going to go down to the Tex Kalani officials and start playing them with her enhanced mental capacity. So when this didn't happen, I was really disappointed. Moving on to the big reveal, when we discover who in fact murdered Mahit's predecessor, it almost happened without me noticing. It was almost like a side note. Then the murderer had apparently no issue with revealing all of the details of the murder. The confession was so easily got at that I didn't believe it. I thought there must be another layer of intrigue here. This guy is covering for someone else, or was paid by someone, or something. No, that was it though. Yes, 19 Ades was there and allowed it to happen, despite being supposedly friends with Mahit's predecessor, so I guess that was a bit twisty. But overall, I kind of shrugged at the whole thing. Now, the ending. So underwhelming. I was expecting twist after twist. I mean, that's what you expect when you read a book that's pitched as political intrigue. Is that just me? Seriously, was I expecting too much? I thought 3 Seagrass is going to turn out to be a double agent. I convinced myself of this all the way through, so that when it turned out she wasn't, I was really disappointed. Then when 19 Ades was named as the new emperor, I got this thought that she had planned the entire thing from the beginning, helping to murder Mahit's predecessor, politically removing her competition, forcing the old emperor to a point where he would have no choice but to kill himself, and all the while playing the loyal aide, placing herself as the logical choice for the emperor's successor. Brilliant, I thought. Very well done. But no. 19 Ades hadn't outmaneuvered everyone like the psycho puppet master I wanted her to be. It turned out she was also pretty nice. Don't know about you guys, but I prefer my ending. So taking into account all of the above, I gave Arkady Martine's A Memory Called Empire 2.5 stars out of 5. If you're interested in my criteria and how I star my reviews, you'll be able to find that in the description below. That's it for my review. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and also subscribe if you haven't for similar videos from me. Also, don't forget to hit me up in the comments. Until next time guys, happy reading.